What's up everybody, Chadley here, and we are now just 1 week away from the new Maliwan Takedown DLC. This Maliwan Takedown has the chance to be one of the hardest pieces of content that Borderlands has ever had. So I just wanted to give you guys some tips and things you guys can be doing over the next week to be as well prepared as you can be for the new Maliwan Takedown. For this list of stuff, I'm just going to go in order of most important and work my way down on stuff you should prioritize over the next week. So to start it off, the first thing we're going to want to be focusing on is getting a very diverse loadout. Now, no matter what character you are, you're going to want to have a lot of different elements on your guns and just kind of builds and playstyles you guys can use. Now, from what I have personally seen from all the trailers and stuff for the Maliwan Takedown, it seems like a large majority of the enemies are going to have shields and armor. So this means you guys are going to want to stick to elements like corrosive, cryo, radiation, and shock. Now, we could just have seen very specific engagements from the Maliwan Takedown so far, and maybe we could just have some normal flesh enemies and stuff like that. But for the most part, it definitely seems like it's going to be a heavy focus on armor and shields. So definitely make sure you have all the elements of your favorite guns for your character. Another reason you're going to want a very diverse loadout is with all the Mayhem modifiers. If you guys plan on doing this on Mayhem 3, you guys know how troublesome these Mayhem modifiers can be. These modifiers can really take your god builds and knock them down to pretty much very average. So you're probably going to want something you like of each type of weaponry, so submachine guns, assault rifles, snipers, and so on, as well as all the elements for those. Now, getting every single element of like every type of different weapon can be a lot, so definitely strive for as much as you can. Just make sure you have at least something that can play into every modifier and give you a bonus. Now, the next thing you should be focusing on after you get your diverse loadout is anointments on your gear. Anointments are really powerful, and they can take just some pretty good builds and just make them absolutely nutty. With some of these anointments, you can be doing up to 300% extra damage. So some general anointments you guys should be looking for is on action skill end, weapon damage is increased by 100% for a short time, as well as on action skill end, deal 125% more weapon damage to badass, named, and boss enemies for a short time. I know this takedown is going to have a lot of badass enemies as well as bosses, so having that anointment is going to be very helpful, but also just in general, 100% extra weapon damage is another nice bonus. Now let's go over some specific anointments for each character. Unfortunately with Flak, his character specific anointments aren't that great, as most of them take advantage of like Rack Attack or Gamma Burst. Now I know most of you are going to be playing some fadeaway crit builds, so that's why for Flak you're probably going to want to stick to those general anointments that I just listed. Now some good anointments for Moze. After exiting Iron Bear, the next 3 magazines will have 33% increased reload speed and 67% increased handling. This will pair well with her skill tree ability that makes it so you do not consume ammo for 5 seconds after exiting Iron Bear. It's going to make it much easier to just rapid fire that weapon and hit all your crits. Now a good survivability anointment for Moze is after exiting Iron Bear, gain 75% increased shields and health for 25 seconds. Because most of the time Iron Bear is just going to be like an oh shit button. So if you use that, you're going to come out with much greater shields and health, and you're going to be able to save yourself pretty easily, especially if you're surrounded by a lot of enemies. And for Zane, some good anointments. After swapping places with your Digiclone, weapon damage is increased by 130% for a short time. And for survivability, when barrier is deployed, instantly start recharging your shields. These anointments will give you some crazy damage as well as some really good survivability. Now lastly, Amara, she has probably some of the most powerful class-specific anointments. The main two being, after using Phase Cast, weapon damage is increased by 250% for a short time. And if 250% is not enough for you, there's another one, after using Phase Slam, weapon damage is increased by 300% for a short time. These are definitely going to be like the main ones you're going to want to stick to. Otherwise, if you want some more survivability, you can do after Phase Slam, damage taken is reduced by 20% and movement speed is increased by 12%. Now I talked about this in one of my previous build videos, but terror anointments are actually really good. Now even though the event is going to be ending at the start of December, this is not an issue because one of the anointments for it, on action skill end, apply terror to yourself every 5 seconds for the next 18 secones. This will allow you to easily stack terror on yourself and not even take damage from like the skulls hitting you to get terror. Now you're probably going to want that specific anointment on either your shield or grenade. That way you don't actually have to have the gun with that anointment out to stack the terror on yourself. It's just automatically going to do it because your shield and grenade are always equipped. Now if you combine this with while terrified, gain increased crit damage, the more terror you have, the higher the bonus. This is going to pair really well with flak, as with max terror, you're going to get up to 90% increase in crit damage. Also, another really powerful terror anointment is while terrified, gain ammo regen. The more terror you have, the higher the bonus. With max terror, you're going to get up to 16% of your magazine size per second. This is incredibly powerful. Definitely do not overlook this one. Then if you want to be basically invincible, you can do while terrified, gain health regen. The more terror you have, the higher the bonus. With max terror, this is up to 8% of your max health per second. This is really strong when you combine that with while terrified, reduce all damage by a small amount. The more terror, the higher the bonus. This is actually going to go up to 30%. It might even be 40%. I forget exactly how it scales with each terror, but it's either 30 or 40% is your max damage reduction. With that health regen and damage reduction, you are going to be very, very tanky no matter what character you are. Now finally, if you're just an MVP and have those two things that I just listed already done, the last thing you can do is have multiple characters with all those diverse loadouts and anointments. Now you're definitely going to want to strive for at least 2. Now we don't know how each character is going to play in the raid. I know all 4 of them will be able to do very well in it. Obviously some are going to do better than others. So having at least 2, you're going to increase your chances of having a very, very powerful character for the raid. Also, if you're going to be playing just matchmaking with random people, you're going to want some different characters to be using, because I know a lot of the community does use flak, and I think if you guys have 4 flaks in one game, you might have some trouble with the mobbing sections of the takedown, but he can definitely still pull it off. Now with random matchmaking, I think you guys get a nice mix of characters. You're going to have a much easier time completing the raid. But that's really all I have for some tips to do over the next week to get ready for the new Maliwan Takedown. Like I said, with a diverse loadout, good anointments, and multiple characters, you're going to have no trouble breezing through this Maliwan Takedown. If you guys found this video helpful, make sure to leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more Borderlands content. Next video is going to be the next episode of Borderlands 3 Mythbusters, so keep an eye out for that. Make sure to go follow me on Twitter at Chadley_99, and if you're not already, go join my Discord. There's a link for it in the description. There you can find looking for games, trades, and just people that help you in general. Thank you guys for watching this far. May the RNG gods be in your favor over the next week, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.